Hello, hello.
Hello.
How you doing, dude?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I'm functioning. Right.
Allergies still kicking your butt, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
We
My
gotta we gotta get you in to see an allergist.
my my
So
my body is weak. It's weak.
it's not weak. It's just how
It's
you are,
weak.
man. Well, they make drugs to fix those things.
Yeah, it's all good. So how's StarCraft going for you since I know we talked very recently, but how's it been going since then?
Yeah, it's good. We did a coaching session last week and just worked on Terran multi-pronged stuff. And so the week was pretty good actually. I played a few days and overall was pretty happy with how things went. So um, yeah, I don't know. I felt the coaching session was really good, and just want to kind of keep the momentum going.
Sure.
So I thought I'd come back for some more.
Do you want to do a 1 or 2 hour session today?
I was planning on doing one. We can
Okay.
see how it goes.
Sure.
Um, yeah,
Okay. Sounds good.
yeah.
Uh,
Also up to your schedule too. So
No worries. All right. So do you want to focus on a different matchup today overall? Like maybe like TVT, TVZ?
well, we did Zerg the first time, and then we did Terran the second time. Actually, I take that back. The first time we actually did kind of a little bit of everything. Second time we did Zerg. Third time we did Terran. So there wasn't actually anything super in particular that I wanted to work on because it's kind of a little bit of everything, like the early pressure, the multi-pronged stuff, just keeping the macro going, um, even when the game is difficult. So I I liked when we did like I was just playing somebody in the stream, and then you were kind of watching, and then we just went over it after.
Sure.
Uh, so I thought that was pretty good. If you think kind of
I
where
mean,
I am, you think there's something else I should do, we can do that too.
that's totally that's fine. That's an option. We can definitely do that. Like a live game. Um, the pressure is definitely more on you there, and it's just I mean that's just another. I'll just let you know what it is that I get out of watching you play live. Um,
Hmm.
So watching a replay, I can still see what you're doing, and watching you play live, I can still see what you're doing. But watching you live will be like an up-to-date, today version of how you play. But then I think a lot of people also will, they'll be like, "Vibe, I was nervous though, and I don't normally do this." Again, it's totally fine. I don't mind when people say that shit. It doesn't bother me at all. It's just that people tend to get more nervous when they have an audience. So, and especially if they're also being talked to. If I'm ever like saying something to you during the game, but I mean that it is like a live action game, and there is always a thing that you can say that whenever you watch someone play a game in the moment, sometimes you might see something that you might not have seen otherwise because there's a circumstance that arises during the game.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's just basically gonna give me another perspective of your gameplay, so I can just overall see your what's going on with what you're doing and ways to help you. So that if you want to do that, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I think the high pressure practice is better because I think it just
Sure.
makes you a better player.
Okay.
And last time we played, I definitely made a lot of mistakes that I don't normally make.
So
But
what
it's the more you mess up, the more you learn. So
if you could pick your opponent? Then what would you be looking for? Like for a league and for a race?
opponent, well. Honestly, I don't have a strong preference because the games I tend to lose are the games where I have a lot of early pressure and when I'm getting this like multi-pronged stuff. And so even if it's like a Protoss kind of early all in, those are the games I lose. Or a Zerg early all in, those are the games I lose.
Yeah.
And so it's the early all-ins and it's the constant pressure are the games that I lose, and then the ones where things are kind of more relaxed and we just kind of do our own thing for 10 minutes and then fight. Those are the ones I feel like I do better on.
Okay. Uh, So you thinking like maybe? I mean, it sounds reasonable. It sounds like you're struggling versus aggression, and you're doing better when you're able to play your game when you can just macro.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do like maybe a platinum player, just in
Yeah,
general?
I'm right now Platinum 3, so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. 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 So, guys, if I would say, just to throw it out there, if anybody in the stream right now, I know we just started because it's early in the day, but if anybody's in the stream right now that wants to give us a opponent to play against, the league would be pretty much anyone around plat-ish, and it does not matter what race you are, because it's just a generalized game practice, and there's no build as well. You have to do whatever you do, just do your thing. Diamond 3 Zerg is probably a bit high, I would say, because there is as the leagues go bigger, there is bigger MMR discrepancies there. I'm plat 3 random main. You sound like the perfect opponent. You want to play a random player?
Sure.
Let's do it. Yo, Captain Mello, you want to play? You want to log into this bad boy? Plat 3 random player versus my student who is struggling to deal with aggression, or just things in general. That sounds fucking perfect. All right, you're logged in right now. So okay, there's two ways you can message me, Captain Mello. Number one is you can join this chat right here. Oh, you want me to add you? Okay. 1 second. Is that even a link that works? That's not even a link that works. Okay, so just Captain Mello, just do this. This will be way faster, dude. In top right, in StarCraft 2, if you're already on, left click your profile, avatar portrait, and then it'll open up your profile, and then double click where it says ladders on the left side. So you click once, click twice, it'll say ladders and then Grandmaster, and then you can scroll down to rank 150, and you right click my name and send me a message. I'm rank 149 exactly at the moment. I don't have messages turned off, so once you send me a message, I can just, okay, perfect. Super fast and easy. Alright, I might eat a party as well, Hindu. And then, yeah, Mello, also, do whatever you want. You can, I would say to mute the stream, though, or pause the stream when the game starts. That way you play a real game. But do whatever you want. We're not telling you what you have to do. And thanks for helping us, dude. I appreciate it. Alright, and then Hindu, I have a question for you now. Since this is going to be live coaching again, do you want me to make comments aside from you hearing it during the game and then talk to you about it after, or do you want me to talk to you during the game? Well, like,
You can.
Or go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, if you see something obvious, and if you see something that I should be doing that I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me.
Sure.
Yeah. And then for random, you said to build the wall at the main ramp, right?
I would recommend that personally, yeah. Because
Okay.
the odds are, like, he could be Zerg, and if it's Zerg, you're gonna want to then build your wall at the natural, with the progression of your wall. But if it's Terran or Protoss, I feel like you'd be better off building it in the main, and the reason why is just because the wall at your natural right away, it does have a couple things that makes it decent against Protoss and Terran with, but there's so many things that Protoss and Terran can do to fuck you over with the wall at your natural. I feel like it just makes it kind of scary. So, that would be, like, basically, you can still go, like, Gateway, Nexus, Core on the high ground, and then your next buildings can be in the low ground, like, if you decide you want to do that.
Okay.
Alright, ready?
Ready?
Alright, he says he's ready too. Alright, good luck, dude. Good luck. Alright, I muted myself for him, and now we will talk amongst ourselves, chat, and YouTube people. What up, guys? What up, guys? My nose is running again. What up, Vibe? Yo, what up, dude? Alright. So I'm gonna try to talk to him as little as possible, because it's just a thing. When you talk to someone while they're playing, you distract the fucking shit out of them. So I'm not gonna talk too much. Let's see how he plays, though. So far, not bad. Wayfair Monk, how you doing? What up, dude? Yo, Vivictus.
Payment as promised for Wednesday coaching.
Vivictus, thank you for the coaching lesson. Don't know. I saw the email earlier if you're listening as well, and I'll send you another one today after stream, and I'll confirm it with you if you're listening right now. Sometimes people aren't listening, but thank you very much, dude. I appreciate that. I look forward to coaching you in a few days. Thank you, thank you. All right, I am indeed listening. Yeah, Vivictus. I mean, you already know I'm confirming with you then, but I'll do it in text form just so it's not something it's like set in stone. Then you know what I mean. Thank you so much, though, dude. All right, so he won get expanded. That probe is on time to the natural. This is correct. Everything's going fine for the build so far. He's okay. I was about to say he's delaying the Nexus a little bit, but finally he got it down. Okay. He now knows it's a Protoss. It's got a core going down. So there's already one mistake he's made, I would say, and it's something that's very easy to fix. And it's about shifting the wall from here to here. And the reason why is because it's way easier to defend aggression if your units walk on the inside than on the outside, because it decreases travel time. And also it's way easier to build a pylon to block adepts if it's on the inside and not the outside, because your probe has to run fucking further to block the adepts, and if your probe has to run further, there might be a chance that you might miss it and let an adept in your base, and that sucks. So I'll talk to him about that. That's the first thingy. I'll write it down. Adept wall. Or wall needs to be shifted. They can't see this, by the way. So it's just for me. That's the observer chat right there. Is this a live game? Yeah, it is. Okay, he's not building probes at all at the natural. That's big. Pro production here and there. Kill that probe. Now. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Okay, now we're gonna watch his scouting. Vibe, have you seen any good movies lately? Not really, to be honest. I haven't really watched any movies at all lately. He's not supply blocking. He's doing decent pylon timings. I would say that pylon maybe is a little bit awkward though, because it's kind of fucking up with that one mineral patch, but otherwise it's okay. Gateway, 4 units, no good. Oh, he canceled it. Okay, he canceled. We're all good. So I don't forget that he canceled it. Okay, so he didn't scout at all with the sentry, nor did he use a guardian shield. Or did he? This dude used a guardian shield, right? The red dude. No, he's not doing any spending here during this. Production was important. Don't forget. You're not making anything out of your robo. Also, overcharge your battery.
They're attacking our cute little probes.
Get aggressive when you overcharge. Get aggressive. If you overcharge, you need to like get aggressive on him and use that energy to kill yourself with. Just don't go too far ahead of it to die. So like you want him to shoot you and take fights, because every time you trade damage when that's on, you get free damage.
Okay.
Keep making units. Also, if you have any chronos, throw all chronos at your robo at this point, because he's being very aggressive, so you want to prioritize not dying. You're still doing fine, honestly. Keep it up. Keep producing. Don't panic. I would say expand now. Go back to doing your build. Like, keep producing units as a priority, but I would definitely say expanding it because your money's high. Okay. Then fix your probes. Don't supply block. Or you have a couple pylons going out. Your third. Good, good. Keep producing. You have a probe at your natural nexus. Smashing that nexus right now. And then you have 2 probes at your natural as well on the left side, just kind of chilling. Make sure to grab that 1 probe in the bottom left of your natural nexus. He's just attacking the nexus repeatedly.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay.
And then fix your gas at your natural too. Just take a moment. Like, keep macro as much as you can, but okay, you fixed the gas. One of the gases still only has 2 on it though, and your mineral line has 15. Just like right now, you should be just making units. Priority number 1, and then priority number 2 should be checking your numbers on all your nexuses, making sure they're all running well. Like your main now has a problem too, because patches are starting to deplete. And then I would say also around this time you need to be expanding again. So it's all that as quick as you can economy management. Keep making probes. Got your third. There you go. Noise. And now, your money will explode now. And now, what are you going to do with that money that explodes?
Gonna start upgrading.
And?
Building more gateways.
That's right. That's correct. Keep producing. Do you normally make sentries like game like this?
No, I forgot to make them at the beginning. Oh, did I make them at the beginning?
It died.
I forget now. Okay, yeah, because I haven't done any scouting, so I wanna.
Okay, that's okay. I mean, I'll accept your reasoning. That makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't mean to make 2. I meant to make 1.
It's all good. I just want to make sure you're not gonna make like 10 of them or something.
No, just meant to make 1.
I would say expand again. And the reason why is because your main is mining out. Your natural is soon to follow. You're getting attacking you, so get in position and keep making units. Keep making probes too, because your probes are taking a beating. Keep making probes.
Mineral field depleted.
Just keep making units. Get a Templar archive so you can balance your gas. Still go for the I think this is a big problem a lot of people have. Whenever they get distracted, they forget the game plan. The second he's still in your base, instead of just not expanding because he's there, expand the other side of the map.
Okay.
Because your money is going to start getting really high otherwise, and you're going to start also devaluing your income because your main's mining out and shit like that. There's some proxy gates up there, so now you've discovered some bullshit. Keep building units. Careful, you're getting attacked. Just keep macro during a fight. Make sure your units don't get too far spread, though. Don't forget as well to overcharge that battery.
Yep.
If, like, during the fight. Now that it's over, it doesn't matter. And then, you see how there's a gateway up there with a pylon? Don't send your whole army to deal with that. Just, like, warp in a stalker, or, like, 2 stalkers. You don't have to send everything to kill that. Because this guy's being so aggressive. Just do, like, a couple units to get rid of it.
Upgrade complete.
And then when he shows up to attack somewhere, then you engage him again. Keep making all your gates. You need way more gates. For now. And I know you're not making them because you're being distracted. It's just you gotta not forget your game plan while people attack you.
Yep.
Mineral field depleted.
Chrono boost your upgrades and chrono boost your robo.
Our pylon's under attack.
Okay, that's not a whole army. I would say warp. Okay, that is now. Go attack that with everything. Keep making units. A move it and literally make like 10 gateways. Don't even look at the fight. A move towards it around the map and make like 10 gateways in your main right now. Because if you don't get this money spent, you're gonna die. Okay, be careful about walling your base in though. You're building a little cluttered around the ramp right now.
Okay.
The minerals.
There's a bunch of room on the left side of your main too. You could probably throw down even more gates. You just made 8. There's like now 11. Okay, so yeah, that's good. That's good.
Mineral field depleted.
But you just gotta make sure you're not stopping production during stuff like that, or that will definitely screw you. Like, good job, nice warping in on the gateway on the top. That's exactly the kind of stuff you should be doing. Just a little bit to get rid of it, but don't overexpose yourself. Now that the fight is also over, redirect your army to like the middle of your base. Like, you see where the rocks are on the ramp, below your like 4th base. I would say kill those rocks and leave your army there.
The minerals.
Because those rocks also just congest your movement because they make your army walk through the choke point slower. And now, because you're send out some sentry scouts. Oh, perfect, you already are. Go figure out where he is because you're getting ready to want to attack him. Keep chrono boosting upgrades and immortals. Got to spin those chronos. Also, fix your economies too when you can. I would say send the probes at your natural down to like your brand new base you just made or something like that. And a quick way to do it, you see how it says you have 16 out of 8? You can literally just green box half the mineral line. Like, because it's going to be 8 and 8 on 4 patches. Make sure you make make sure you make archons too. You got a lot of Templar in that army. There you go. Okay, and then set up the fight, and then right as you set up the fight, make sure your army's kind of splitting half and half right now. Half of it's dying to his army. It's okay. It's okay though. Just make new units during the fight. You want to never fucking fall under. Like, if you lose this fight, it doesn't matter, as long as you remax. Just keep making units as fast as possible. Make immortals. And chrono boost that robo. Chrono boost your upgrades again. For forges, start upgrades in chrono. Macro priority number 1. You have double forge upgrades on one and no upgrade on the other, so make sure you fix that. Cancel the armor and put it on the other. There you go. Keep making units as fast as possible. Make all those Templars and the Archons.
Base is under attack. Mineral field depleted.
Shit.
It's okay. Make sure you don't send the Templar up. They're running to their death right now. There you go. And now that he's using a lot of voids, start making Stalkers again. With Archon. And you're already maxed again during the fight. And now, even though you just threw your first army away, your remax destroyed him. Now go attack him again. and then re-expand, and I would say expand again.
The minerals have up and gone. Mineral field
And make sure you're always watching your probe count. Your probe count's still good, but what about your bases? Main base looks fucked up. Gotta fix that. Natural's okay. Third base is okay. Fourth base in the middle of the map needs to be fixed. So your main and your fourth need to be fixed.
The minerals have up and gone.
And then make sure your army doesn't chill for too long. It should be on like a warpath right now to kill all of his bases on shift A move. And if this guy's gonna kill your base in bottom right, or sorry, bottom left, take a top right base. Just always have their next base running. Okay, so it looks like it's turning into a base trade, but that's okay for you because you have a bigger base with more army. So just try to make new units as things die everywhere you can and whittle his army down. So new units made defensively, and you never once again touch your army that's attacking. Just let it warpath his base down. Like until his base is dead, then you can use it again. And feel like it's okay to take damage here. Because you're like, so now he's compromised your natural. Start warping units in your main. Like where the forges are or something. Start gathering an army. So you can kill the, like you can group something up to kill him the next time. Okay, so he actually recalled home. So now you can just start reinforcing your attack. And I would say definitely make Archons because you have so much fucking gas. So Archons and Stalkers are both acceptable because he has Voids. Because you need something that hits air. Okay, you got him anyways. Alright.
Oh, wow.
Now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. I shared my screen on Discord so you can see what I'm clicking and stuff.
Okay.
Because if I go to replay now, it's gonna kick you out, or it's gonna not have you in the game anymore. All right. Okay. So you see my screen? You see what I see?
Give me one second. Yeah.
Sure. Yo, thanks Captain Milla for playing, dude. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. So, there we go. Your opener was fine. I will say though, when you throw your gateway down, I'm gonna give you a tip here. So I know this is random that you played against, and you don't know what race he is, and we talked about that, how you should wall the ramp first. But keep this in mind. You should always build your gateway on the exposed side of your base, not the inside of your base. So what that means is think about your movement of your units, okay? If you have a unit and you say, go to the natural, what is it going to do? And it's going to go like this. Originally, it's going to go straight down. It's going to be like, all right, I'm going to go right here, and then down the ramp, and I'm going to go down to the natural. From like right here, down to the natural, because it's the inside of your base. But now, if you build a wall that's like this, and it blocks off the entire inside of your ramp, every time you make a probe now, it has to go like this. All the way around it, and then curve, and then go this way. It creates this detour. Now, you can say the same thing as well about your units. So, one of the big reasons that this is a problem is if you ever need to block off your ramp, your probe now has to run a further distance to do that, instead of just going straight there to block. It has to go all the way around it now to block, right? So, not ideal. Another reason why this isn't ideal is because what if he has either air units over here, or what if he has air units over here? If you are chasing air units in your natural that are going north towards your main, your units have to, once again, not just run straight up into the main, but they have to detour around and then go to the main. Now you can say the same thing as well if there are air units over here, where let's say he's poking your pylon and flying away, or poking like your core and flying away, or he's like, you know, just being annoying as fuck over here. Let's say it's like, let's say it was a Protoss and he did a Void Ray battery proxy or something like that, or it's like Banshees or something. Your units always have to run in an exposed side and get fucked by the air. Like, this is something that you'll probably run into more as you become a higher level player, but it's just in general a better idea to wall out the more exposed side of your base and leave the inside of your base open for every reason. Like, it's nothing but perks in every way. Probes get more efficiency that way when they rotate around. Units get more efficiency with time when they rotate around. It's way better defensively for you to set your base up.
Okay.
And then okay, and then
Oh yeah.
we'll also talk about your
Less than 3.
let's look at your scouting for a second. Yo, thank you, Land, for the sub. Much love, dude. So when you get to his base, what do you see? You see a gateway? Or sorry, you see you do see a gateway, and you see a pylon and a probe sitting there, just like you have a gateway, a pylon, and a nexus. Like your builds look identical so far.
Mhm.
However, there's already a deviation, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well. Yeah.
I mean, the reason why there's deviations because look at his core, and look at your core, and the thing that you can see it like so far, you can see that he made his core faster than you did, and you try to make your core as soon as possible while getting a nexus. So you guys both have one gas. You guys, he's actually initiated a second chrono just now. So you guys, up until he made that second chrono, you guys had the same chrono. Now that's a detail as well. Think about this for a second. This is some fine detail here that you might be able to recognize when you're in the middle of a game. So you haven't chronoed your nexus as much as he has, and you can tell this because you can look at the current total energy of a nexus. His nexus has 28, yours has 78, and neither player starts with more or generates more faster than the other. It's the exact same. So you know for a fact he's chronoed faster than you. And what would happen if you chronoed your nexus right now? You would supply block 100%. Because you're doing a normal build. You're going nexus. So that's already, like, the fact that he chronoed his nexus before second pylon that you've seen so far, and the fact that he went core before nexus because he cored before you did, that's a huge sign of some bullshit already. And then as you leave his base, you don't even see a nexus. So he's double chronoed his nexus, and he also he has the core faster than you. So this is a huge sign now that you're probably going to be the one playing defensive this game. Because his build is not economically focused. Does that make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you feel like when you played this game, did you feel like you noticed things like that, or did you feel like it was more standard?
Well, for me, I didn't see the second nexus. All
Sure.
the other stuff is kind of over my head, but
Okay.
I didn't see the second nexus, and so I just made the battery at the natural.
No, okay. I mean, that's a good response. The fact that you made a battery was correct. I just want to make sure I want you to think about what to look for, and like things that make sense. And it's always literally the key to good scouting is always comparing your build to their build every time. It's always comparisons. And in PvP, one of the biggest comparisons you can make literally is obviously the if there's a nexus or not. That is the biggest detail of all. So that's a good read by you to go, oh, okay, no nexus, let's play defensive. But yeah, like the double, like for instance, fine detail could be the chrono boost energy, and that already tells you, okay, I didn't see a second pylon in his main base. So either you scout a little bit more in the main base and get a real good read there, or you already assume, like if you, let's say you didn't fully scout the main, but like you didn't see the second pylon, and he did also double chrono the nexus, you could be like, proxy pylon. There is a proxy pylon. And then here's another detail, okay? I'm gonna actually, now I do not expect you to like answer all these perfectly, so don't feel like you have to. I just want you to get your brain thinking about scouting. Obviously there's a proxy pylon, but what, if you're playing this game right now, what do you think is going to be at the proxy pylon? What do you think could be at the proxy pylon? And give me a reason as to why you think that. And again, if you don't get it right or anything like that, it's totally fine. I just want to get you thinking about it.
Well, he can make. You mean in terms of units?
Yeah.
Or maybe another building.
Like what would
he
be?
can only make He can only make zealots right now, right?
So far, yeah. But what, like, if this guy's gonna proxy you and he's gonna do a timing attack to you, what do you think the timing attack is gonna consist of?
Stalkers.
Okay, so that is an option that could happen. But I would say this, okay? If he's gonna proxy you, you can already rule out a lot of tech that it could possibly be, like a lot of the supreme like big boy tech. And the reason why is because he only has one gas. He double chronoed his nexus, and he did it off of one gas. He is delaying that second gas for such a long fucking time. He's going to be taking the same time, like the second gas, basically almost at the same time that you are, and you're doing a defensive macro build, which is not priority of tech. So if this guy were to be going for like proxy Immortals or proxy Stargate, he should have devalued the mineral line, like not just sat with 16 the entire time, and he should have dropped that mineral line down to probably like 12, and then had 6 on gas. If he wanted to go for like proxy Stargate, really fast DTs, proxy Immortals, all these things cost more gas. So if he's going to attack you with something that is light on the gas, then yes, it is Gateway. And that could be a few Stalkers or mixing in some Zealots here and there, like whatever. Just definitely no tech, Gateway instead. So that's and again, you're basing it off of. Now I'm gonna ask you another question, and I'm not gonna put you too much on the spot. I just want a yes or no here. Do you know how much it costs? How much resources a Stargate costs, or a Robo, or a Council?
I think Robo is 150 and 100 gas.
Okay, correct.
But I don't know Stargate.
Stargate's 150, 150.
And then Council, I don't know. But I think it's
same as
150.
Robo, and you got the Robo right. So, and then do you, like another question would be, do you know how much units cost in the Stargate, like a Phoenix, an Oracle, and a Void Ray?
I do not.
Okay. Do you know how much units cost in a Robo? Like an Immortal.
Yeah, the Immortal's 275, and I think 100 gas
That's correct.
or 50 gas.
So,
Okay.
and then the point overall here, that you don't have to know exact numbers right for now. Again, I do want you to learn them over time, though, because this is so much info that is so good for you, because it makes what I'm saying make so much more sense. But just to keep it super simple, Stargate is the most expensive gas tech you can make, up until also if you get to like Templar tech, I guess, as well as really expensive on gas, but that's a Council, that's a different avenue. We can talk about that in a second. But if this guy were to be going for a Stargate, it would make sense if he prioritized double gas really heavily, because Stargate not only costs more than Robo and Council, but the units you make out of the Stargate right when it's done cost more than every unit you can make at that point out of the Gateway and out of the Robo. So like, it's just more expensive on the gas, especially, to make a Stargate proxy, or like to open a Stargate pressure, essentially. So you can already be like this is a moment where someone, this is like the moments when I always am talking to someone in like the stream that's watching a game, and they're like, "You're gonna get proxy oracled," and then I'll scout what you scouted, and I'll be like, "Am I though? I don't think so, because he doesn't have any gas, and you cannot create shit out of nothing. You can't be like, oh, the unit costs 1,000 and I only have 200. I'm still making it right now. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the exact amounts every time. So it makes sense if you think about it that way. And just, I want you to, this is gonna be a huge deal for you to really help you start thinking about how to look at your opponent's build and know. It's not about like, okay, this is another way I want you to. It should be like a fundamental like aspect of your thought process when you play against opponents in StarCraft. It's not about preparing for everything. It's about ruling out with your scout, ruling out the potential possibilities that you know for sure can't exist, and then dealing with the remainder that does exist. So automatically, this would be a moment where if I was watching you play this game and you made 2 fucking shield batteries, I know you didn't, but let's just say you did, and you put it in your main and your natural, and you were like, well, what if like he goes Oracle? Or what if he goes Robo? I'd be like, okay, you're investing way too much into something that's not going to need to be made right now. And you need to think about it like that way for a lot of aspects of the game. Because if you stretch yourself too thin at a moment when you need to not be doing that, that's how you lose games a lot of the time. So that's just like some critical thinking there, essentially. But yeah, so you made a battery and you expected aggression and you based it off the fact there was no Nexus. That is still good. That's still a good thought process. I think also one of your biggest weaknesses is you get tunnel vision a little too hard. Like,
okay.
Just watching this game, and we'll talk about that a lot going through the game as well, going forward. But, like so far your build's totally fine. So far, no problems yet. Your Nexus was correctly timed. Your probing's been good so far. I said wall needs to be shifted, and we already talked about that. I was making a couple notes here while you played. But it's just that thing I talked about, how like it's easier for you to defend. Or, yeah, I mean, you're watching my screen right now. It's easier for your wall to be defended. That's why I said that. If it's on the other side. But like right here, this was one moment that I noticed as well. Go back to your Nexus finishing at your natural.
I am here in the shadow.
So your Nexus finishes at your natural like at 238.
Mm-hmm.
Or 239 even. So 239. And then you're currently building buildings. You know, like your gateway and stuff, which is, again, I like that you're making the gateway. A proper timing that I feel like you probably have heard before is you definitely want to make the robo and the gateway during the sentry production, because the sentry productions is the cheap unit in terms of minerals, so you can definitely afford these. But just make sure as well you're really not skipping this, because as we can see, 239 is when the Nexus finishes, right? And then
Yeah, I forgot to make the probes.
yeah, you make the probe at 251. So you missed you basically missed 12 seconds, which is the exact amount of time it takes to make a probe. So you're now one probe behind, just forever. If like consistently always going to be one probe behind, like overall in your total worker count. That you could have 27, but you have 26, and it's going to be like, if you don't fuck up again, it could be like, well, you could have had 44, and now you have 43. So if you add up, and the crazy thing is a lot of people don't, like, they really don't respect this as much as they should, because they think, oh, you're just one probe behind. Who cares? It's only one probe. But if you really think about it, this is where people don't understand this concept, and I'll explain it really fast because it's really fucking important. If you're one probe behind, which means you're 12 seconds behind, it means every probe is 12 seconds behind. So if your next 10 probes that you make from 26 to 36, which could have been 27 to 37, every probe is 12 seconds behind. So that's 12 seconds added up on every probe that is now missing mining for the initial 12 seconds that it was not there when it could have been there. And you're missing out on like 120 seconds of mining of each probe one by one by one by one by one by one by one, not mining when they could have. You're still going to eventually get that same money you would have had like later on, but you could have had all that money way fucking faster. Which could change the outcome, because again, early game is so fucking important in RTS. Like, this setup is massive, so it could 100% change outcomes of games if you miss production time like that.
So I always get mixed up a little bit on this. You want to make the robo and the gateway like right after you start making the sentry,
When you can
like,
afford it. As long as you make it during the production time of the sentry. You can make it, like, honestly, a lot of times if you're going to make them, like, I'll say this. You don't really want idle probe time, especially now when your resources are very underutilized, okay? So
Yeah.
you don't want to do things like right here when you go make the gate, and then you just sit there for a while with this probe, and you're sitting there waiting to build, sitting there, waiting to build. Like, this probe has also been sitting there for like 13 seconds, 14 seconds now. Going on 20 seconds here now about. So that probe is chilling for like, that probe had a job to build the gateway and the robo for about 20 seconds.
right?
21 seconds actually, because that's how long the gateway's been going for. We'll just say about 20 seconds. It's not a big deal. That's a long time though. And that's not ideal, because that 20 seconds could have been another round, like multiple rounds of mining time, because a worker on average can mine about 1 mineral per second. So that probe and that amount of time that it sat there could have theoretically mined 4 rounds of mining. So what you want to do is, and also here's another concept, okay, that I want you to understand. This gateway should be pairing up with the warp gate upgrade. And the reason why is because if you were to make the gateway and then you were to make a unit, your unit is going to be currently in production while the warp gate is finishing, and you're going to have to wait for this unit to finish, and then warp gate's going to finish, and then your warp gate's going to turn on. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm just going to tell you. If you didn't know this, the warp gate is priority. And the reason why warp gate's priority is because it lowers the total build time of every unit in the gateway. So a gateway by default is 27, 26, 30, 30. And when you have warp gate, it's like 19, 20, 23, 23. So because the cooldown is faster than the build time. Like, okay, so like, again, I hope that makes sense. It just lowers the total amount of time it takes per unit, because although a warp gate works differently than a gateway, it instantly makes the unit out of like a warp in. It just makes the cooldown 23 seconds instead of 30 for a stalker for what the build time of the unit totally is. So I can make it a stalker every 23, 23, 23, 23 instead of 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. It's fucking huge to get that up as soon as possible. So you like, well, that's something we'll talk about as well, which you almost messed up on, but you eventually fixed it, because you actually made a 4th unit out of the gateway, which we'll get to in a minute here. But anyways, so the point I'm trying to make here is if you look at the warp gate upgrade, it's 100 seconds, and you look at your gateway, it's 46 seconds. You could theoretically make your gateway when this warp gate upgrade is at 54 latest, because it would be perfectly pairing up with the warp gate. So as long as you make it like a little bit before that or around that, then you're good to go. Because you're not going to be making you're not going to be making a unit out of that gateway until warp gate's done. Now your robo, on the other hand, could definitely be prioritized first. So you're actually doing it wrong too in the order you're building them. You should be going robo then second gateway. If you think about the cons, because the robo has nothing to wait on. As soon as the robo's done, you make the unit right away. As soon as you can afford it. So definitely do not prioritize second gateway over robo. You should be prioritizing robo over second gateway because of the concept of warp gate.
Okay.
And then okay, moving forward. So and a lot of times too, it'll usually pair where you'll make these. Well, the final piece I didn't say, which I kind of touched on a little bit though, was when you do make these buildings, I would say don't run there and make the robo and then wait 20 seconds and then make the gateway. Just make them together when you have enough money to make them together, and that's going to be like, you can send a probe to make these buildings, like let's say it pops out of your nexus or whatever, when you have like 280 minerals in the bank, or like 270, because in the time it takes you to make the robo, you'll generate enough to make the gateway, and then you're good to go.
Okay.
So you want to build them within like 3 seconds of each other, and then move your probe down to mine again.
Okay.
And that'll be once your sentry's at least halfway done, usually. Be careful about that pylon too. This is a very minor deal. I'll say it right now. It's super minor. I know you're powering the shield battery with the second pylon, but you did fuck up this mineral patch a little bit because now the probe is kind of curving. So I would say maybe one more grid spot to the right, and then that would have been a great pylon.
Okay.
Let's see, like right here. So you're starting unit out of this, and you're starting unit out of this. Now this does 2 things to you that fuck you over. Number 1, you're going to be building a unit during the warp gate finishing. Now this one right here is going to mostly be okay because the unit's going to be closer to being done, so it's not going to be waiting for that long. But this one's going to fuck you over, and you do cancel it, which makes me happy. But this one, if you were to finish it, this unit would still be less than halfway done by the time warp gate's done, and you'd just be waiting for warp gate, and that not great. 2 reasons why that's not, like really 3 reasons why that's not great is number 1, you want to get that warp gate up as soon as possible to start that faster round of unit production. Second reason why it's not great is because if you get attacked right now, which you already confirmed is a very big possibility, waiting for this unit for the entire duration is a lot shittier than getting it right now when the warp gate's done, and then waiting for the cooldown for the next stalker. So you'd have more army faster to defend yourself. And then finally, the third reason why this is not a good option to make right now, you need to be making the Immortal as a priority. Like, the Immortal, as soon as the robo's done, you should be making Immortals as priority number 1, and then making Stalkers as priority number 2. And the only time you should ever prioritize Stalkers over Immortal is if you scout its air. And you're like, oh, well, he's going Void Rays. I still could make Immortals here, but I actually should be making Stalkers as a priority, because I don't want to die.
So, out of the first warp gate, I'll make a stalker and a sentry, and then wait for the warp gate to finish.
You make 3 units. Stalker,
Three
Sentry,
units.
Stalker.
Okay.
So you're
And
making
then
your
out of
4th
the-
unit right now. And then at a
Okay.
second gateway, you make nothing. Until warp gate's done. And then you warp in 2 Stalkers at once. 2 Stalkers at once. 2 Stalkers at once.
Oh, and then make the immortal.
And you make the immortal right when the robo's done. So what it should do, this is what should happen. When you pair these, so you make 3 units out of your first gateway. And then this is also while you're making warp gate. And then, you know, your 3rd unit will be popping out shortly before warp gate's done. As you can see, this is your 4th unit and this is warp gate. So you're going to just wait on warp gate to finish at this point so that you don't fuck over your warp gate for the upgrade. Because again, you can't make warp gate while you're making a unit. And then while you're waiting for this upgrade to finally finish off here, you're going to be very low on money because you're going to be starting an immortal. So you're not going to have the money to make a unit anyways, because notice how you're prioritizing the gateways and not the immortal, and look at your money. You have 95 minerals. You can't afford an immortal right now. Just like if you were to cancel these units and make the immortal, you wouldn't be able to afford these stalkers. But you don't want to make these stalkers right now because you don't want to fuck over your warp gate. So you're going to make an immortal first while making probes, and then warp gates take priority then to finish into warp gates, and then once the warp gates actively turn online, you then have enough money to then make the stalkers instantly. So you go from 3 units out of the gateway to 5 to 7 to 9, because you're making it 3 initially out of the first gate and then 2 at a time out of the warp ends.
Got it.
And then yeah, your mortals also, like you make immortal, then send then like an observer, and then immortal forever basically. And I would say too, be careful about your unit placement. Again, you're already expecting aggression, right? You are like you read it looked like he was going to be aggressive in the build. The way your units are standing here is really scary. And I know we haven't talked a lot about unit management because you're platinum, so I'm not going to go too in depth into it. But I just want you to think, like, what if this guy had 6 stalkers? Because he's not building a fucking Nexus. Let's say he's chrono boosting his core for really fast warp-ins, and he went triple gateway, and he proxied the gateways somewhere like over here or like somewhere over here, and he's going all in as fuck right now. And let's say suddenly 6 stalkers walk out of Fog of War right here, and they get all 6 stalkers get free shots off on your first stalker, while your other stalker is out of range, and or they go for the sentry. Like, you're just so exposed right here, and it's easy for your opponents to like take advantage of that. Like, if I was playing you and I was going to be aggressive to you, I would 100% abuse this. So group yourself up more. Here's the point. Here's the point. Imagine, like, okay, no, I'm not going to use an analogy here. I'm just going to explain it in like math terms. It's because it makes more sense. It's just easy to understand. You do not want to hit your opponent's army with only a fraction of your army. You want every time your opponent, when your opponent engages into you, you want your entire army to shoot him back as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just don't want him to get free shots off on you, because right now, another thing to understand is, especially, this is important shit to know. A stalker can kill a stalker or a sentry really fast. If he has, like, let's say 6 stalkers, he can 100% kill your stalker in 2 shots. And if you stand there and get shot by his stalker, and let's say you don't micro it and you actually run forward a little bit because your stalker's like, oh, I'm going to go fight him now. The second shot will kill your stalker, and you might literally be out of range of the battery at that point. If you were like walk right there, you'll totally die. So, like, watch how the fight starts here. We'll just give a visual now. So this is exactly what we're talking about, right? So he shows up, and your first stalker is getting pounded right here, and your second stalker is just currently like chilling, doing nothing. And this is gonna drain the shit out of your battery. And now you run away, and now that you're overextended, you're running away when the fight starts. This stalker still hasn't even shot once yet. This stalker shot, like, I think like one, or no, shot a couple times, and then your sentry shot a couple times as well with its little bubble attack, little like bubble gun. That basically does almost no damage. But I mean, you weaken the shields on one of his stalkers. But this is kind of a shit trade for you because even though you've weakened, you haven't actually hit the stalker yet for its health bar. You've just weakened its shields. This guy doesn't have a shield battery. You do, on the other hand, though, and your shield battery is already halfway depleted and soon to be fully depleted. And now, finally, you've shot back at his army after he shot you again with another round. And this is pretty rough for you because if your army was looking like this just from the start, more or less, you could have probably killed a stalker and the amount of time your battery would have gotten this low. And it's really because you just had your shit so unorganized. And then in the chat, I was just talking about the gateway concept of warp gate that we were talking about before. And now look at your money too in this moment. Your money is so fucking high. And the reason why your money is so high is because, number one, you're prioritizing Observer first. And you should be prioritizing Immortal first. And another concept to think about is you scouted like it looked like he was going to be aggressive. Do not prioritize an Observer. Can't even help you. It can't even attack. And what would an Observer do against this? Genuinely nothing. It would show you what you already see. He's attacking you. Like there's no DTs here. And again, if you think about it logically, you know there's no DTs as well because there's no double gas. So 100% needed to be an Immortal. And it needed to be prioritized because if you did prioritize it, you would already have an Immortal right now. Like it would already be there. Because you not only did you not make it first, but you also didn't make it, and instead you prioritized making gateway units 4 and 5. Is why it's so fucking late. Because if we let's just literally let's get an exact number on this thing really fast because it's really important. And also you made the gateway first and Robo second. It's like there's so many things about why your Robo's late, but with the way you made the Robo. Robo finishes at 3:45, and an Immortal takes 39 seconds to make. So from 3:45, that would go to 3:19. So, or sorry, 4:19. You would have an Immortal out.
Research.
And that's assuming that you don't chrono boost it. If you did chrono boost it, it would be out like probably like 4:09 or some shit like that, or like 4:07. So right now you wouldn't have it yet. But yeah, I mean, it would be soon, though. And again, but again, keep in mind, you could have had it in the time for that fight if all the things were robo-focused with Immortal focus. Because it was triple delays. Okay, so now, speaking about this fight again, this is just brutal for you to eat so much damage from his army. Like for instance, I'm not going to go, like, repetitive there. But already, think about this for a second. There's 5 stalkers here. And I think the first time he shot you, he only shot you with 4. And the second time he shot you with all 5. Your stalker has already eaten 9 shots in the amount of time you've shot him twice. Now, that is some uneven trades right there. That is awful trades for you. Now, if you could have shot him 4 times, and the amount of times he shoots you, like 9 times, that's a little bit more good for you because the battery is again helping you deal with the difference here. That's why you made the battery. It's correct that you made the battery, because this guy's focusing way more on aggression than you are. But again, Immortal. It's so fucking important. It's like so huge. The Immortal would change everything here. But the point is again, like I said before, you're just eating way more damage than you're dealing right now, by a lot. Because of where you stood, and then you ate like another 2 full rounds of volley while you ran back to the battery. And keep in mind as well that, talking further now, going beyond what we just talked about, whenever you fight someone, I don't know, a lot of Protosses don't know this, but when you overcharge a battery, the initial overcharge gives the battery a double effect of heal. It doesn't just make the battery, like, it doesn't do nothing for the battery. It's not like it's worthless or anything like that. It does 2 things that are huge for the battery. The first thing it does, which is nice, but it's not even the best part about it, it makes the battery heal for free. It doesn't even cost energy to heal for 14 seconds when it's on. That's only the first thing it does. That's nice. The second thing it does, which is even better, it's crazy fucking good, is it doubles the value of what it heals. And a shield battery can heal. The fuck was it again? It's like it heals something like it's like 30 something shields a second or some shit like that. It heals a lot essentially. It definitely cancels out a lot of damage that can happen to you. And if you double that, basically what I'm trying to say here is this amount of DPS here is enough to basically like fully deplete the shields in one auto attack. And then if you have a shield battery that's an overcharge, it's guaranteed 100% chance that your stalker isn't going to be red while the shield battery still had a little bit of energy left. Your stalker would still 100% be like this guy. He'd be green, full green. And the reason why is because if there's only enough stalkers here and sentries for him to just bust through your shield and fully deplete the shield, and then the next auto attack would then dip into the health of the unit. If your shield battery is at double value of healing, it'll fully heal your stalker before the next attack hits you. So you'll always be fully healing up, getting hit. Fully healing up, getting hit. Fully healing up, getting hit. Like, it just resets itself over and over and over. And if he doesn't have a battery, you will actually take a positive trade there. So you definitely want to... The concept of what I'm trying to explain here is you want to use the battery overcharge at the biggest round of burst damage your opponent has because it negates more of it. And this right now, the initiation of this fight is the biggest round of burst that he has. 100%. So you waited so long to use your battery overcharge, kind of fucks you over here. Because now you lost a stalker. And now you just lost DPS. And when you lose DPS, all that does is it extends the duration of his DPS. Because the less DPS you have, the longer his DPS stays alive. Which means the more uptime his DPS has. So you're eating more damage because your stalker died now. And you could have prevented that if you overcharged the battery, which would have made you kill him faster. Which lowers his DPS. And you pulling probes here, like the way you defended this, like with how this is going right now, yeah, you needed to pull probes, but this didn't even need to happen if everything up to this point had been correct. And again, you're also not making units anymore. This is why I started talking to you, and I was like, make sure you don't stop making units, because you're starting to tunnel vision. You have 800 minerals in the bank. So easiest fix here would be stand next to your battery off by default, especially when you already assume he's going to be aggressive. It's not even a question mark at this point. Like, you knew aggression was coming. So don't have a unit, and a unit, like, scattered and shit. Make sure they're... Because then, like, your reaction was correct, right? You're like, oh, God, I'm so scattered. Group up. And then he's just pounding you while you group up. So group up as a priority before this even happens, so you can prevent that from being so awful for you from the start. And then if you fix the robo thing like we talked about, and like don't skip production cycles here, huge for you. Huge benefits. Now another thing to talk about is your chrono boost.
Okay.
Your chrono boost needs to be allocated correctly according to what your opponent is doing. So
Okay.
I don't know if you watched my coaching lesson the other day, but this is a concept that revolves around the aspects of, there are 3 types of ways you can play StarCraft 2. There is aggressive, there is safe, and then there is greedy. And right now, you've been greedy. You've been a greedy boy. And you're playing against aggressive. And aggressive, generally speaking, beats greedy. Like, it's a very high chance that aggressive will beat greedy. And the way you can fix this and turn your greedy play into safe play, which then beats aggressive play, would be, okay, my opponent looks like he's going to be aggressive, and he confirmed he's going to be aggressive. So that's 2 different points in the game. So this was your probe scout, which looks like aggressive play, and this is your reaction to him actually attacking you, which is like 2 minutes later, which is now actually aggressive play. He's got way more units than you do, and he's committed to aggression. Your chrono boost should stop chrono boosting probes now and start chrono boosting immortals now. That would be a perfect reaction to go from greedy into safe play, because then you will increase the production cycle rounds of your immortals, and your immortals will beat the shit out of this. So that would be a great way to defend this. So you stop allocating chronos to probes at this point, because if you want to properly react to what is happening here. Because it only increases the chances you're not going to die. And that, yeah. And then you can see as well, your robo has been done for a long time, right? You made the immortal, or sorry, you made the observer, and now you're just not making immortals. This is damaging as fuck for you. Like this is the biggest tool you have to defend this, and you're not. This is like saying like you need a nail, you need a hammer and nail into a piece of wood, and instead of using a hammer, you're gonna use your fist. You're not using the best tool you have here. You're gonna fuck yourself up for it. And then more units have died, right? Like going back to your fight now. This is after you worked in a couple new units, and this is like you're foregoing the entire overcharge of a battery. And this is when I was recommending you the overcharge of battery. You're just eating so much damage. And again, this is like in the crunch time moment of like burst, where you could completely negate the burst with a battery overcharge, because it heals for free and it heals like crazy. But then when you do it, so like another stalker dies unfortunately, which is more DPS that you lose, which increases the duration of his DPS. Another stalker dies. And now you overcharge the battery, and this is when he disengages and you disengage as well. So you completely, or for a while, like for a good chunk of the battery overcharge, you don't use the battery overcharge. So he disengages and you disengage right here too. And right now what you want to do is you want to understand how big a shield battery's radius is. And the radius of a shield battery is about this big, I would say. It's pretty fucking large. Now, again, it's not a square though, it's a circle. So if you put a circle in this square perfectly, that's about a shield battery's radius right there. Or maybe a little bit bigger, honestly. Like that's about how big a shield battery heals if that was a circle around it and not a square. So that would mean your units, if you eyeball where the square is right now, your units could stand anywhere like this, and you'd be getting healed by the battery. And if you understand that that's about your range of battery healing, you could literally walk anywhere in this area right here, and you could even, let's say your stalker's right here, okay? And you're getting healed every time he shoots you. And let's say he backs up all the way to right here, and now your stalker can't shoot from there all the way to there. That's too far away. The range is too big there for two stalkers to shoot each other. But if you walk from here to here, you're going to walk out of battery healing. What you could do is you could walk from here with all your stalkers to right here so that you can shoot him while he's standing right here or something like that. Shoot him again and he shoots you again, and then you walk from here to here for like 1 second and then walk back to here again and shoot him again if he doesn't back up. Because the amount of time it takes a battery on overcharge to heal your units to full is literally about like half a second. It's fucking ridiculously fast. And you can maximize, what you want to do is you want to maximize as much damage trades as you can right now. Again, I know we're talking like about micro right now, and like your gameplay focus is not really about micro. I just want you to feel confident about what you can do in a situation like this, because let's be real, if someone all-ins you, sometimes you got to micro a tiny bit. It happens. Now, okay, let me say it like this. This is actually very, I need to say this because I don't want you to get the wrong idea. If you macroed perfectly, you don't need a micro. Because if you had an immortal fucking standing here from step 1, you would have been able to literally walk up from your keyboard and mouse and watch that immortal beat the shit out of his entire army. One immortal can take on, if you have a battery and an immortal, one immortal can take on like 7 stalkers. It's actually fucking insane. That unit is insanely strong with the battery, especially with a battery behind it. But obviously the build was fucked a little bit. You don't have an immortal. You still don't have an immortal. There's a lot of robo problems this game. That's the biggest problem you have at defending these all-ins. 100%. But if you ever get yourself in a situation where you're like, okay, this is getting rough to defend. It's difficult right now. I'm starting to slowly die. You can 100% try to micro a little bit and understand your limits as a defensive player. And your limits definitely are be defensive when your overcharge battery is not up, but when it is up, get aggressive as fuck. Try to be within the limits of what battery range is, or if you ever go outside of it, go right back into it shortly after. Take like a volley and then go back. But definitely try to maximize some damage here, because again, like watch, like just look how much time goes by here for you when you overcharge the battery. It's right about now. You're doing it in a second here. So he kills this last stalker, and then you overcharge the battery right now. And now he shoots the battery, which is fine. You now engage him, which is correct. But right now, at 4:41, you disengage. Now, how much time goes by out of your battery's overcharge? So it's only been 1 second. So far, it's been fine. Like, since... no, I'm not going to lie. Everything before this was problematic for you. So I'm not trying to say, like, oh, this whole game's been fine at this point. But we're assuming we're starting this off of when you started the overcharge, okay? So 1 second ago. So far, your battery usage has been okay. But right here, right now, we're now wasting... 1 second has now been wasted. Because that could have been a volley you shoot him with, and then he shoots you, and yours gets healed, his doesn't. Now, here we go again. 2 seconds now have been wasted. Because 1 second was okay, 2 seconds have been wasted. 3 seconds have been wasted. 4 seconds have been wasted. 5 seconds have been wasted. You're walking in position though, but 5 seconds have been wasted from this overcharged battery. 6 seconds have been wasted. There's been no exchanges of damage here, and that's what you really want to happen. This is so much time that is just... Your battery's already halfway over, and it's not utilizing anything. The crazy thing is this battery... Like, think about this for a second. A Stalker does... This is actually numbers that are fucking wild. And I also, by the way, I actually think a battery heals like 50 fucking shields a second. And it heals like more like 100... Or, okay, no, sorry. It says it heals... It actually has it right there. I'm just joking. 72. So it heals 72 shields a second, okay, when overcharge is on it. So if you think about this, look at it. Let's bust out a calculator really fast so I don't fuck this up myself somehow. 14 times 72. Your battery can heal 1,008 damage over the course of its overcharge. And a Stalker does 18. So if he's got... you know, 4 Stalkers standing here. You got 18 times 4. And then, so we're doing 72 damage. 72 damage is the amount of damage they do. And now you can do 14 divided by their attack speed of a Stalker, which is 1.34. This is going to be how much damage they do in a one battery overcharge cycle. So 14 damage. Or wait, what did I just say? 14 seconds, sorry. 14 seconds divided by 1.34 attack speed. A Stalker can shoot, let's just say 10 times in that. So 10 times 74, which was their damage. Stalkers can do 740 damage, but you can heal 1,008. So you have way more, like even if there was a 5th Stalker here, you'd still be fine. You can heal, you can out heal this. And here's the crazy part. Think about this. Stalkers have, so that was 740, right? 740 divided by 160, which is that's the total damage, and this is total health of a Stalker. It's over 4. And you want to know what this means? The fact that that number is over 4, it's a decimal after 4. If you had 4 Stalkers and he had 4 Stalkers, you would, and like let's say he actually fought you in a battery because you kept forcing fights to happen and you kept healing with a battery, you both do enough damage to kill each other's Stalkers. But you can negate it and he can't. So that gives you great trades if he does take the fights, because you can literally kill his entire army while you lose nothing. So again, it's just, if you understand this math, if you understand the numbers and how they add up and like what they mean, the simple point is overcharge is fucking amazing, and you need to maximize this thing healing you while you, because again, the damage you guys exchange on each other, his doesn't heal, yours does. So that right there, this building and knowing how to utilize it as much as possible is why you don't die if someone all-ins you and you're playing macro oriented. Like if you need to micro, and you're gonna need, like, you don't need to micro at all, honestly, in Platinum if you know how to do the build properly. But if you get to like Diamond Plus, you also need to know how to micro it. So that's just an idea right there, right? It's just really breaking down how that battery needs to be utilized. And again, if we're going back to what we just talked about, 6 seconds of that have been wasted. So let's just the final piece of it, okay? Just to throw it out there. 6 times 72. This is how much seconds have gone by that could have been healed for damage and has healed nothing. That's 432 healing that has not been occurring because there's been no fights, exchanges. And now if we divide 432 by 160, which is the total health of the Stalker, you could have essentially almost killed 3 Stalkers by now. If, and that, you know, what if you killed 3 of these 4 stalkers? That'd be, his all-in's basically over. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is now the easiest fight of my life because he's got no units. So that these are exchanges you need to make happen. They're so important. And now there was another second as well right there, by the way. That's another second that just went by because you almost took a shot. If you notice right there, you were about, Jesus. You were about to attack him, and then you didn't. Because you re-moved them. So, like, watch the stalker right here. He, like, walks in to get ready to shoot. His lights, like, flash up. And then he turns. He's like, okay, I'm going to go over here now. And then you finally shoot 1 second later again because you relocate again right here. And now this stalker, this is again, remember that range check I said? This stalker is barely out of range. These stalkers are in range. So, but the way AI works in StarCraft 2 is units, unless they're microed otherwise, units will always shoot what is closest in their face if they're also a threat to that unit. And so just to not confuse you, threat means each unit can kill each other. But for instance, if you had like if these were like fucking broodlords, and this was a zealot, and these were stalkers, the broodlords would actually ignore the zealot and shoot the stalkers, because the stalkers are a threat to the broodlords, because they're an air unit, and a zealot can't shoot them back. So I don't want to make that. I just explained that concept. I don't want it to sound confusing, but yeah. These units are threats to each other, so they will prioritize the closest unit essentially, unless he physically targets something behind it with his own micro. But this stalker's out of range. As you can see, it gets shot, and this is, again, these are now seconds of the battery that are not being utilized because it's not healing anything. So this would be a moment where you'd want to maybe just grab this one stalker and move it to like right there, and it would get healed 100%. Because look at the radius of the healing. Or why can't it show me? There's no like white. Is it because I'm not on? Or I am on your vision. Or that have been everybody's. Okay, I don't know why it's not giving me this like little white grid, but 100% it could heal you right there. 100%. I know it can. I'm comfortable with the range of it. It's right there is healing you. So if you do move back a little bit, you'll see the heal go off. So that stalker just ate the fucking dick right there, really hard. And then the second you walk right there, you'll get healed. You're just about to walk into it right now, and you'll start getting healed right now as soon as I hit play. And then that's you know, it's good that your stalker didn't die, but that stalker also didn't need to eat 60 damage for real, though. But still, overall, that was still a positive trade for you in terms of, it could have been way more positive, but you still at least used the battery overcharge to a positive effect, because what you just turned that into was you had 4 stalkers you had 4 stalkers attacking you with 3 stalkers of your own defending that. And you managed to turn that into a 3 stalker versus 3 stalker situation because you used 3 to kill one of his, which evened you out in terms of that current exchange. So still overall positive, but it could have been way more fucking positive than it was. And now the scary
stupid question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
No, you go. Sorry.
Oh, just a stupid question about the battery. So the battery just has like a countdown timer for when you can recharge it, and then it requires energy from the Nexus to do it.
So a battery, I'll explain the both parts about it so it's fully makes sense. So a battery can regenerate its own energy by itself over time. It doesn't matter if it's currently healing, or it doesn't matter if it's doing nothing. It regenerates energy over time in StarCraft 2. It just always regenerates energy even if it's actively healing at the same time. And it regenerates energy relatively slow. It's something like 1 energy like every 1.5 seconds or some shit like that. Now, when a Nexus wants to overcharge it, the way it works is this. There's 2 rules to this. Number 1, the battery has to be built within a radius of the Nexus. And now you can see my white boxes here. I don't know why you couldn't see it before. But do you see these white little grid spots around the Nexus? That right there represents how far a Nexus can heal, or can activate a battery to overcharge. If you built the battery right there, you could not overcharge it because it's not built within the radius of the Nexus. This is why you can't have proxy batteries being overcharged, because that would be so fucking broken for like cannon rushes and like all-ins and shit like that. So you have to build the battery within this radius of a Nexus to be able to overcharge it. Now, a Nexus to overcharge it also needs to have 50 energy But the way this works is the Nexus that is directly next to the battery does not need to have 50 energy. You could, in theory, or it's not even theory, it's 100% how this works. You could grab this Nexus, and this Nexus could have 75 energy, and this Nexus could have 25. And even though the Nexus with 25 is next to the battery, you could still overcharge this battery with this Nexus, as long as this battery is built within the realm of any Nexus's overcharge radius. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's how it works.
Oh yeah.
And then and then overcharging that battery is such a good tool, especially for like defending all-ins. So that's another tip I would give you. If you think your opponent is going to be super aggressive, you're like, I scouted aggression. A safe response to that would be stop using your chrono boosts until you get attacked, because then you could do two things. You could overcharge your battery, and you could chrono boost out your mortals. If you want to have a reaction that's going to be appropriate.
Okay, good to know. I've been doing the robo thing all wrong.
You've been doing what, sorry?
I've been doing the robo thing all wrong.
No, the robo is. I'm not even kidding. This immortal is worth more than 2 stalkers. This immortal is worth more than 4 stalkers. This one immortal genuinely is worth like fucking 6 stalkers in this situation. Like, if you get to a point where you have 2 immortals, you will kill a stalker every 2 seconds. And it's also almost impossible for him to micro against that, because your immortals will be doing 100 fucking damage per shot together. And 200 damage is more than 160, which is the count of 2 attacks of an immortal. Like, 2 attacks of 2 immortals together, and then also you're comparing that to the 80 plus 80, which is 160 overall health of a stalker. Like, 2 immortals shoot so fucking fast. They shoot. Let me say it like this. This is where you gotta also remember how how I've been telling you a lot to like learn the cost of buildings and stuff like that, and the units. You also at some point, when you really start looking at micro, you need to learn the range, attack damage, and attack speed of units, and also like the health of units and shit like that too. These are all important things to know. And if you don't know any of them, that's okay. You'll get there, but you should start learning them over time. But there are people that, I've talked to that are like GM level or like Masters level that don't know stats of units, and they don't know how to play StarCraft unless someone gives them a build. So you need to learn this shit, because it allows you to actually understand the game. So if you think about this, like, look at this. A Stalker's attack speed is 1.34. And this means you can attack every 1.34 seconds that goes by. You shoot once. So in the course of about like 4 seconds, you'll shoot like 3 times essentially. Now an Immortal's attack speed is like 1.07. So an Immortal attacks for every almost 4 Stalker attacks that go off, an Immortal would shoot like 5 times, essentially, something like that. Like it gets a little bit more damage off in the same amount of time, in terms of attack speed. So a little bit faster, and then the damage of a Stalker when fighting other Stalkers is 18. The damage of an Immortal is fucking 50. So the Stalker does a little bit, like you can get like, for every 4 shots a Stalker does, you can shoot 5 times with an Immortal, which is, again, this is if we get a calculator out again and we look at numbers here for the effectiveness of unit. A Stalker shoots 4 times, that's 72 damage. An Immortal shoots 5 times in that same amount of time. 50 times 5. You're comparing like 72 damage to 250. That's fucking crazy. That's like almost 4 times the amount of damage up value there. So, and then again, and when I did say an Immortal is worth, it's not even worth like 4 Stalkers, it's worth like 6 Stalkers in the situation. And the reason why I said that too is because an Immortal is also a fucking damage sponge as well. It absorbs so much damage. It has more shields than a Stalker, and it has way more health than a Stalker. And also has that shield proc, where it absorbs another 100 damage every 30 seconds. So, an Immortal is just a beast in this situation. It would beat the shit out of this guy's army. So, way more value unit there. Way, way, way higher value unit. And now this is a moment again where you're over microing, right? You're what you're doing is you're relocating your army. Like some of your army's down here. You're warping in some of your army up here. You're getting shot by his entire army the whole time. And as soon as your army warps in, you move command your army together, and then you fight him again. So what you're doing is you're eating damage. You're spending more time walking around while he's like basically what you're doing is you're getting shot by his volleys while you're just running within his range to get shot more by his volleys. So while you relocate your units, you're going to lose a stalker. And then now your stalker's dead, and now you've relocated your units, and now he actually, I'm not going to lie, this was good micro by him. Like I don't remember exactly what happens here. But if he runs away and disengages, this is fucking huge because you just took a free loss there and he disengages from you. But then, you know, he kind of does the same problem though. He could have fully disengaged there, warped in a new round of units, and come back again. But he actually turns into you. He does the same fucking thing where he walks within your range and he eats damage now, and you get a free volley on him. You both are over microing here, and you're over micro. The concept of that is you touching the units is worse than just letting them move. So, not ideal because you both are eating free damage because of this. And then here we go, right? You've lost 5 stalkers. Or, I mean, sorry, you've lost 2 5-stalkers. All your stalkers have died. Up to this point, you've taken some massive losses. You've lost a lot of shit here. Throughout all this course of, the course of the game here. And now, this army, 5 stalkers, is, just to throw it out there, that's the same size of an army that was hitting you the very first time. 5 stalkers, like, you got attacked by 5 stalkers and a sentry and a zealot. And you had 2 stalkers and a sentry. And then you started making more stalkers over time. And now finally your mortal's out. And look at, again, your battery also doesn't even have shield energy. It has no energy left. So you don't even have a battery at this point. It's just the immortal's like kind of on his own. And this dude fucking rails these stalkers. Like he just beats ass. Imagine if you had a battery, and imagine if you had 2 sentries and or two stalkers and a sentry on top of that immortal. And then again, once this was cleaned up, like that, oh, this is another thing I want to tell you about too. When you have a moment like this, where someone gets in your base, and you're like, I'm going to pull probes and attack him, just like right now. Well, you, like, this is what this is what you should be doing. You green boxed, and you A moved, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you do that, you just A moved right there. I can see that. When you do that, and you have your probe selected on you have 6 probes selected and you A moved. When you do this, make sure you hold shift after you A move. Like, so you first, you A move. Sorry, I had to cough again, fuck. So first you select the probes, then you A move, then you hold shift and you right click a mineral patch. That's what you should do. Because if you do that, what'll happen is your probes will be told, okay, attack everything hostile in the area. And then when that's all over, we're going to go back to mining minerals. And what happens instead is your probes A move the area, and they just sit there. And again, we're like talking like 558, 559. They're all sitting here by now. And they sit here. This is why I told you to put them back on the mineral line. Because they're just chilling. That was like almost 20 seconds of just no mining for like 6 probes. Which is, again, another thing that's going to slow you down tremendously. Lambda, thank you for the raid. Same thing here too. These dudes doing the same fucking thing over here. So macro could definitely be upgraded here for sure. Mm-hmm. So far, questions? How you feeling?
Yeah, good. Definitely telling me things I didn't know, so that's good.
And then from the rest of the game, honestly, like, kind of goes more, like, from this point on now, it can go a lot faster, because if you have a good, clean, up to 7-minute opener, you're going to be so much further ahead than you are right now. But if your opener is very sloppy, it's going to make the rest of the game hard as fuck. And the funny thing is, this is a concept of what B2GM is, and it compares differently versus a concept of what the real game is once you get higher level. In B2GM philosophy, the game is supposed to actually get easier as it goes on. Like, if you have a good opener, it only gets easier. Like, the first 3 minutes are harder than minute 15 by a lot. But in a real game of StarCraft 2, when you're playing like GM level or like Masters level, and players only get more crazy about how they attack you and micro everything, then it gets harder as the game goes on. And it only gets even harder if your opener is weak. So regardless, the one common denominator here is for both those scenarios is you need a good opener on both of them. Otherwise, the game is gonna just develop shitty. That's the common denominator there. But if your opener is good in B2GM, it is like you can literally get a fucking drink out and play one-handed from 10 minutes plus. If your opener is good in B2GM. Like, it's so fucking easy to play late game B2GM because you already have it all set up. You're just like, well, what do I do now? I just move my prebs around every once in a while, and I just remax and A-move. That's like all you do. So again, you're not really, like, this game didn't really give you the opener that can coincide with that. This now is, because the opener was a bit fucked, you have to play catch up on all these things that need to be done as well throughout the game because you're always going to be missing your timers, which is why if you played someone who had cleaner macro at the start, you would feel like they would just eventually run you over and you'd be like, wait, what? Okay, so I got out macro. So this guy has a lot apparently. What did I do wrong? The opener is so massive. That's why so many times so many people are like, why the fuck are you spending 30 minutes talking about the first 3 minutes? Because if you have a shit opener, you have no good late game. It doesn't exist. Okay, so he attacks you. Let's go back to making probes, recover. All good. And then this is a moment I would honestly would have said to you, like I was trying not to get too confusing when I was watching you play this game, but I honestly would have, what I would have wanted you to have done here is I would have wanted you to have gone like select all army, A move right there. Forget about it. Fucking just let it happen. Because what your bigger priority right now is not focusing on this. It's focusing on this. And you don't have enough gateways right now. Like, you were fully saturated on your 4th base as you showed up, and you still only had 4 gates. When I was talking about the gate, like this is, remember when I was talking about like what are you supposed to do right now? And you're like, get upgrades, and I was like, and do what else? You're like, and also make gateways. You made 2 gateways. You need to make like 8.
Yeah.
You need to make like 8 more or some shit. So, or go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't have good pylon placement in my base. I didn't even know where to put them.
No, I mean it's okay. It's good. Honestly, think about that. That's actually very real because it's because you're putting them behind your mineral line, and you're like, fuck, I make like 1 there and like 1 there and 1 there, and then that's it. So definitely think about that for the future. Maybe go out of your way to be like, okay, let's put 1 pylon in a massive open area. So 1 pylon in a massive open area over here, so I can be like massive production around them, and then add in more pylons around that or something. But yeah, like this is the fall of your management of your economy. Like right now is when it starts happening because he starts distracting you, and your money goes up like crazy, and you eventually almost hit like 4K resources. And you got to really also be on top of watching your resources like this too. Like there's the council should always be paired with a quick archives after it for archons. But you should also have a second reminder, which is my gas high? I need to fucking make some archons every time. And this is also like I said it to you twice as well. I told you to make the archives when you made it. And I also told you to stop making stalkers and go back to making an archives. And I know you probably got carried away because I told you should add in stalkers to your army now. So you just went full stalkers, but you should add in stalkers with archons because you still will make way more gas than you'll spend. Because you're spending way more mineral expenses there doing that. And this is a moment again here too, right? When you saw the proxy, where it's kind of scary because you know his army's in the area somewhere. He's literally just attacked you like 3 times in this area over the last like 2 minutes. And I would say, like I told you in the game too, definitely don't send everything up here to attack this, because for all you know, he might be walking around like this, and coming in right here and then walking into your natural. And if you're way up here killing this and he's killing your natural, you'd lose the game probably. Like that's you're like, oh fuck, now all my production's compromised and so is my good economy. Like now all I have is these outer bases that have nothing at them. So like what if you walked in your main base and like recall or like force fielded and then he like killed your nexus and you couldn't even recall her. Like things like this could suck. So definitely want to be careful about not letting yourself get zoned. And then what ends up happening is you select your whole army to attack up here, and half your army gets caught. Like, not even half. Like, a third of your army gets caught. Or, like, a fourth, even. And the really shitty thing is this is all your mortals. Like, one Stalker and all your mortals, aside from these two mortals here. So, like, 2/3 of your mortals got caught. And they're going to do decent damage, because that's what they do. They do good damage. But you're going to lose all of them to this if you don't pull them away here. So a little bit of a rough start to that fight, right? And then when you move your army back, it just stops right there. Like he moved like right here, so you like, and then now he's cutting downwards. So this, I feel like this just comes to a level of comfort, and this is gonna start. This is what I'm talking about when I say the game is gonna feel harder than it has to be, because even if you did that mistake that we just explained, where you shouldn't have moved everything up here, but instead used only like 1 or 2 units to kill the pylon and then let them just eventually kill the gateway. And your army is mainly focused in the middle of your base, so you can bounce between anywhere to defend it easily. Basically, if you had macroed well in the beginning of the game, you wouldn't have had 160 supply versus 129 supply at 10.5 minutes-ish. You'd be maxed out versus the guy with 129 by now. And then instead of having like, oh, whoops, only 4 out of my 6 immortals got caught here, you might have like 8 immortals or like 9 immortals already. And you just have more Archon Zealot too with this, because you'd have another 40 fucking army supply going on right now, which is just a lot of units. But overall, I mean, you still ended up winning that fight, and that still is a testament to your macro is still overall overwhelming this guy. So just imagine, like, the macro is something that scales indefinitely in StarCraft. It never has an endpoint, ever. And not even for, like, pro gamers. People think it does. It doesn't. It never stops. You never stop needing to improve your macro, ever. And there are definite rooms for improvement here for all these things we've talked about. And there's so many ways you could have run him over even harder, even though you still won these fights in the end.
Your upgrade is done. Upgrade.
And that's like your ticket to diamond, right? That's like how you make it out of plat and get to diamond.
The minerals have up and gone. Our pylon's under attack.
Then same thing again there. That fight was more acceptable, I would say. That was way more appropriate. Your army was a little bit out of position. This is also why I told you to kill the rocks, because this made your army get here kind of late, because they were just like bottlenecking through that choke point because the gateways got made there. But I mean, that fight went great for you. You lost a few probes, but you fucking destroyed every, like, you destroyed that fight really hard, and that was great for you because you didn't even lose the nexus. So super good fight there for you on that one. But now the problem for you though during that fight though is, well, like we said before, your resources are fucking crazy, and you're not maxed. So that's when I was like, you really need more gates. So it's because you're getting television by, you know, oh my god, he's attacking, he's attacking, he's attacking, he's attacking. So you got to really stay on top of your build. And that's why I was saying also be more confident, like earlier here, just move the area. And like, even if you make mistakes where some of your army sits there, if you are spending your money like a fucking boss, it doesn't matter. Because you'll have so much, it'll be fine. It only matters when you're in a position like this where your early game was rough and you're like, okay, now micro actually does make a little bit more sense because I'm not out macroing my opponent. But it's because you're both of your gameplays are a little bit behind on the macro and the micro. So that's why it's kind of evening out to a somewhat of a degree. And then right here, I would say, I don't mind if you stop for a second to like let your army get a little bit more grouped up. But you got to be really careful about where you choose to do this at, because what you just did, if you were to make a a line that goes, if you said attack here and you make a line that goes directly there, obviously your units can't walk over the cliff. So you'd be like, okay, what is the shortest travel time? Because that's how StarCraft 2 AI works. Your unit, if you give a unit to a command, or sorry, a command to a unit, and you say go there, it's gonna go, what is the shortest distance to get there from my current location? And if you go over here, some of our units are definitely gonna walk up and around, and some of them are gonna definitely walk down and around. Because if you say go here, these units are definitely not gonna walk all the way back and then go around. So this is scary for you, because what you end up doing is, this is very avoidable, right? Now I don't know if you did this on purpose, like you're going for a flank attack, but I would say you don't want to do that. And this, like, I know I've said this. Okay, hold on. I know I said do flank attacks and be the gym series. Like I was like, in Platinum League, guys, we're gonna start adding in a lot more surface area into your engagements. But you got to be really careful about how you do this, okay? And the reason why this is kind of scary for you is because you're leading the attack with the part of your army that is going deeper into the heart of his base. And the deeper you go into your opponent's base, the more likely you're going to run into them. So what you're actually doing in this fight is you're throwing away a part of your army. So realistically, if you think about this, what happens if you attack this base? He comes to defend it, right? And when he defends it, what ideally you would want to happen here in a logical situation would be half your army goes here first, you get his attention, and so like half your army is going like this, up and around like this, and it goes in towards this base. And once you get a read on the fact that he's coming this way to attack you, like ideally when he's like right here with his blob of units, and your army is currently about to kill the Nexus, you then would have the other half of your army engage behind him. The whole point is you want as much surface area engaging on top of his shit as at once, like you're surrounding him more or less. But you engaging like this, you're leading with this and you're delaying this. So this is gonna fight by itself first, and this is gonna go after. So you're going, like, what's gonna happen here is this still can win you the game, but you're gonna guaranteed lose this army. Because you're going to lose, like, as you can see, half your army fights by itself and it dies. And meanwhile, these guys are still walking over here trying to get to the area. So, you got to really think about how to set that up, right? Think about, like, the terrain you're working with here. And it makes more sense to do the longer side first. Like it's another math problem, right? Where it's like, if you have a guy going on a path that takes 10 minutes and you have another guy going on a path that takes 5 minutes, how can you make it to where they both get to the final destination at the same time? You go, okay, well the guy on the 10-minute path should start 5 minutes earlier than the guy on the 5-minute path. That way they both get to the final destination at 0. So make sure you start doing that, right? So, because if you don't do that, like that, what just happened will happen all the time. They'd be like, fuck, okay, well I just lost half my army and I haven't even actually fought him yet, really. But the only reason why it still can win you the game, though, is because as a result of this as well, you're killing his fucking economy. So as long as your macro isn't slipping, you can still win the fight, overall.
Yeah, that was my attempt at pre-fight micro.
I mean, I don't mind that you're doing it. I really don't. It's good that, I think it's a good concept to do. It just make sure you're not doing it in a way that will actually hurt you more than help you.
Okay.
But okay, I'll also say this too, though. I want you to. I'm only like stressing on these points because you need to be more again, let me say it like this. You need more logic in your gameplay if your opener is weak. You can literally, I would have said nothing about this if your opener was stronger, because your opponent wouldn't be in the same situation that he is if your opener was better. Like, then it would have been like one of those moments where it's like, oh, who gives a fuck? Like, this guy's, even though he only engaged half your army, you still actually killed him with half your army. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to make sure that you can't be as wasteful in the late game if your early game wasn't putting you in, like catapulting you forward into like such an advantageous position. Again, that's why I spend so much time in the early game, because it really fucking matters. But long story short, mission accomplished though. You killed an economy and all the probes at it. And that guarantees that you have an economic lead, which you can see right now is you have maybe a little bit too many probes, but it's fine. The point is you're mining a lot more gas than he is, and you're mining a fuckload more minerals than he is. So much more resources for you. So, as long as you can remax, which is like what's happening right here. This is also why I told you like you got to make sure you make Archons here though, like quickly, because you like the reason why I was telling you to be assertive at making Archons here is because you got to know that the second you throw away an army like that, your opponent is 100% going to counterattack you ASAP. So you need to be very quick about warp, chrono boost my fucking gates if I need to, or chrono boost my robo, chrono boost my upgrades. So like just get shit going ASAP. Otherwise it's gonna bite you in the ass.
Base is mineral field. Well, there's no more gas.
Also, I would say this game too, you kind of overmade gateways a little bit. You made 30 gates, and the only reason why I'm saying you overmade gates is because, like, you can think about it like this. There is a balance to be said about production and army killing army, and what that balance should be is not so much about letting your army drop down to nothing and then trying to remax as fast as possible. That's not what it should be. The balance should be, as your army starts to die, you replace it immediately. This is why I tell you not to look at the army and not to look at the fights and not to micro it. This is why I tell you to A-move. Because if you can have 20 gates, or like 24 gates, or like 22 gates and 2 robos or something like that, as your supply starts dropping, you remax it right away, and by the time your army is dead fully, you'll have gotten like 2 full cycles of units out of your production. Because again, you didn't start making units as your army died. You started making units as your army started to die. And your army doesn't die in 2 seconds. Your army dies in like 30 seconds. So, in an average fight in this game, that's maxed out. So you're actually getting like 2 full rounds of cycles here, which is actually enough to almost remax you. If you have like, let's say like 22 gates and like 2 robos. Again, the 20 to 24 production cycle thing. But right now you have 30 gates and a robo. So you have 31 production cycles here. That's a fucking lot. Like, you'll never utilize all of that if you're actually doing it properly. Like, you'll have idle gateways quite often. But it would work if you don't macro during fights, though. If you just forget to macro during fights and you're just like, don't need to do that right now.
Have up and gone. Mineral field. I return to serve. The minerals.
And then right here too, like how long is that? We gotta look at that for a second. This is huge. So you take a fight, right? At like 1540, you win the fight. Now, what you should have done at this point in time right now is you should have shift A moved literally the whole right side of the map and go down. So top right, work your way down. Like on the mini map. You don't have to like go across like this. You could literally just go like this. Select all army. A move on like right now, A click like right here. There. There. Go back to macroing. And then look at your bases, be like, fix this. It's good. Fix that. There's 5 probes there that are fucked up. 3 on the gas, 2 on the mineral line. You know, make sure you rebuild this. Add in cannon battery at your bases. And then watch your supply the whole time while you're doing it. And every time you lose any units, make Archons for now because you have way more gas than minerals.
Okay. So don't wait to remax to send it again. Just
well,
since you won, just send it back.
The reason why I say you should be attacking right now is because you honestly could remax like right now. If you just warped in units right now, 100% you could be remaxing within the next like 3 seconds, or now even, because you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 supply ready to go already.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then you have so many fucking gateways that you're gonna, you see what I mean? Like, you're gonna have like all this excess as well. When like, because again, if you're making it as shit starts to die, you're gonna be like, the point, basically, think about it like this. This is the point I want you to understand. If you start making shit as shit dies, you'll be like warp in, warp in, warp in, warp in, warp in, warp, blah, 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 blah. You work your way through it all. And by the time you get to like right around here, like the last few gates, these gates in the front that you started with are going to start coming off cooldown again. But if you have 2 pages of gateways, you're going to be getting to a point where you're like, if you're warping in as shit starts to die, by the time you get down to the end of the page, these gateways in the front are going to be opening up again, but you're going to have all these gateways also still open the entire time. So you're going to have excess. But you still would use all your gateways if you just wait too long and you're like, oh, well, I didn't start making units repeatedly when I was at 194 supply. I waited all the way until I dropped down to 112, and then I started making units. Then sure, then you'll use all these gateways, but then I would ask, why waste so much time not building anything for like 28 seconds or something like that? Because that's the only way that would happen.
Mineral field depleted.
But then like right here, so your army pushes out and it stops. And you're still not making units, right? Now look at all your gateways. Now they're all off cooldown. We had like 11 gateways off cooldown a second ago, and now they're all off cooldown, and nothing's being made. This is just lots of time that is going by. And there we go. Now you maxed out. This is like 30 seconds of wasted time. And then you make it, and then you're sitting there again.
Up and gone.
You're wasting so, like, now you're like 50 seconds in.
Pylon is being roughed up.
So this is just a shitload of like opportunity being missed here. Because if you want to, if you're gonna pile on the pressure to somebody, you need to pile it on repeatedly. That's how BDGM is supposed to break them.
Our pylon's under attack.
So a lot more assertiveness needs to be had there, for sure.
Mineral field depleted. Base is
And
under
now
attack.
this is also, if you remember, this is when I was telling you to like get in there and attack, like go 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 go, and then and then now that this army is being assertive and it's being told, oh yeah, go fuck them up. Now you start making like new stalkers to defend yourself, and that's totally fine. But another thing you should be doing too, during this, like what can you do here really? Not much. You're like, there's a lot of shit here, and you can warp in units over time here and there, but it is what it is. You know, you should be doing as well during this. Rebuild that Nexus right now. And then if this Nexus is gonna die, take a probe and build a new Nexus right now. Like, there's no reason why you have to let your base die. Just keep pumping units, keep making Archons, keep expanding, keep making probes, rally probes to new bases, and keep doing your thing. Because the longer you can keep that up, the harder it is for him to be. The harder it is going to be for him to continue to win a base trade. Because if he doesn't do that and he just lets his base die, and you're over here like you've relocated here now, you've also relocated here now, and you just have like 15 fucking Archons over here or chilling. It's so hard for him to be able to deal with that.
Field depleted. They're attacking our cute little
But again, this is something I shouldn't be looking at. Like, even though he recalls, this is like this just is what it is. It's just gonna do what it's gonna do. It's gonna wipe his base off the fucking earth, off the map essentially.
They're attacking our base.
And then since he recalls, he doesn't even kill your base anymore, and now he's super dead, because what he just did was he recalled in a base trade to a point where even if he killed your army, it would be a 2-base Protoss, because this base is unsaturated, it's completely depleted, but it would be a 2-base Protoss versus a 3-base Protoss, or actually no, more like 4, because it's like 3.5, because you still have some resources here, and then you're just gonna outproduce him. Like, you're just going to have more again. So, overall, throughout the game, how do you feeling? Does shit make sense, or is it questions? How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. Definitely working on a lot more nuances than where I was a month ago, so I'm happy about that.
Nice.
But yeah, I see the areas to improve, and just gonna keep working at it.
Yeah, man. It really is just like you're gonna feel like I really do think you're gonna feel like things are gonna just start getting a lot more clean in your gameplay once you start realizing what needs to be prioritized at what time. I think the hardest thing that a lot of people struggle on, which is what I really tried to make this apparent in Beta GM series. Like I did it as much as I could. I basically tried to show you as little things as possible that weren't the most relevant thing to look at the point in time that it needed to be done. And once you start getting comfortable with like, right now, despite what's happening, this is what I should be doing. This is what I should be doing. This is what I should be doing. The better you get at that, the better you're going to get overall. And the faster you get at that, the more you can do, right? So if there's 5 tasks that need to be done, and you just do the first one, the biggest priority, number 1, and you literally let all the other 4 tasks go away, and you're just like, whatever happened, I don't give a fuck. I'm too busy. You can still honestly get to diamond playing that way. You can.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you know what the priority is, because if you pick like task number 4, which is like not that important, and you just don't even do task number 1 now, well then that's when you struggle, and you're like, fuck. Okay, well now I'm losing a lot. Why? So learning priority is huge. And which that's what I'm also talking to you so much about too, right? I'm making sure you know what priority is for you. And then once you get better and faster at it, then suddenly you're like, okay, now I'm like crushing priority number 1, which is the golden one. That's like the one I cannot mess up. And now I have excess time where like I got nothing to do. And now I'm doing priority 2, priority 3. Suddenly I'm microing as well, which is like priority 5. It's like definitely down there. Do you like almost never need a micro as long, again, it's like a perfect example is this. You priorityed like your last priority, which is your micro, because you fucked up your macro and like how you organized your base. So you not prioritizing your defense properly created a problem that you then had to fix later. But if you just understand, okay, group my shit up and leave it near the battery. And then I also prioritize my like immortal and stuff like that. You'd be like, oh, he's attacking me? You're like scratching your head. You're like, is he though? Like, he's dead already. And you'd be like, wow, that was the easiest defense of my life. Because you set it up really well. So shit like that is so important to understand. And obviously there's like a sequence to the game that you need to understand what takes what priority. And again, the disclaimer alert, it's always your macro. And as long as you can do it fast enough, then you can add in more shit to it after that. But keep at it. And there's a lot of stuff we talked about. I would definitely recommend watching this VOD a few times, because there's a lot of shit we talked about throughout it that is relevant info to keep in mind. And then again, don't be shy to ever just rewatch some Beta GM stuff again too, because there's a lot of similarities. And there are nuances in Beta GM that you might not be picking up on. Like, for instance, one of the nuances might be, watch how I actually do in the Beta GM series, the pre-split micro, pre-split fight bullshit. And think about like what I explained here. And look and see if I do that too. Where you're like, wait, okay, well, Vibe just threw away half his army before the fight even started. But you probably won't see that because this is something that I might not explain every game, or who knows, maybe I didn't explain it very well in the series. Maybe that was some point that I didn't fully elaborate on. But that is something that was totally fucked for you in this game. That could cause problems for you down the road. But the only way it wouldn't matter is if you're so far ahead that you're going to win the game with your push anyways. And you're just like, well, I have like 200, he probably has like 90. So who gives a shit? Like, he's just dead either way.
So on that the fight that I did, just you can still split it up, but then just leave half the army there, but then send the other one, and then when that one's coming around, then let them go together. You
want to logically make it to where your army is engaging all over his army at the same time. That's the logical point about it. And that would mean that you'd want your more exposed side, that's a longer distance, to go first, because not only is that going to drag him in this position, it's also the army that has to take longer to get to the area. And if you think about this too, where is someone going to, like, think about, like, when you were taking the fight, I'm not going to go back to the point, but if your army is like over here, right, in this area, somewhere over here, and he's got a base over here, where do you think he's going to stand to defend his base? Most people stand to defend their base in the middle of their base. He's probably not going to stand right here to defend his base, or like right here to defend his base, right? And if your army's right here, and you want to attack right here, your army could literally go around this ramp and around this ramp and get to like right here at the same time. So the only way it would work if you're standing right here and you attack the area is if he was standing right fucking there in these bushes. Because again, that's like travel time is equal. So you'd want to make sure the pre-fight split should have honestly been something like you're standing here with some of your army and you're standing like here with some of your army. Because the only way that wouldn't make sense is if he's standing right there. If you, and again, if he was standing there, then what would you do? You'd probably stand like right here then, and then you could also stand like right like here or something. And then when you attack when he's here, these units and these units arrive there at the same time. You want to kind of guesstimate. You're going to be swarming him at the same time on multiple sides. You do not want to be swarming him on this side 15 seconds before you go here.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. I just want to, yeah, that's something that if you start getting better at that, it'll work so much better for you, honestly. Like it is a good system to use. And then if, I don't know if you watched the coaching lesson I did with the diamond player, yesterday, but you can also then turn pre-fight micro into actually multi-prong with zealots on a different side of the map. And stuff like that. And again,
okay,
yeah.
I'll check it out.
But yeah, dude, Hindu, thanks for doing another lesson, man.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we did our first lesson a few months ago, and we couldn't even get past the first, like, minute and a half of the game.
Well, yeah, like, obviously you're getting better. And there's little details, like, and the thing is the StarCraft 2 is like it's like an ever-evolving game. So, like, even me today, as someone who is a former pro and someone who is still in GM, like, consistently, I still feel like I have so much I can improve on, like, daily, if I really wanted to work for it. So it never fucking ends. And it's just really about, just know that the more you improve, the more percentage of the entire player base that you just become a stronger player then. So, you know, obviously, you're just getting better at the game. So, yeah, you're on a journey, and I can definitely see improvement in your gameplay.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's like one of those things where, yeah, the more you learn, the more you realize there's like a lot more to learn.
100%. You know, this is actually a fact. The better you get at StarCraft, the more I can rip you a new asshole about what you're doing wrong. That's fucking true. Because I only have so much things I can talk about because you can't even do anything else when you're a lower level player. But the better you get to be able to hit, like, suddenly, if you're like on step 1, you're on step 1. But if you can actually do step 1, suddenly steps 2, 3, and 4 open up. It's like a spider web. And then if you can do steps 2, 3, and 4, like 3 more steps off of each one of those open up. And then if you can do each one of those, like 3 more again off each one of those open up. And it becomes this like thing where like it's instead of only 1 step, you're doing like 40 steps at once or like 80 steps at once in this game. Where all these, like, it's like, you know, like like an example of some of the advanced shit I was talking about was like the shield battery micro. Like that's something that is very specific to that one point in the game, but it's something you could totally be utilizing. But you wouldn't even have to do that if your macro is fucking pounding this guy, because it'll eliminate the process. But if this guy was also really good at micro and macro too, suddenly that's relevant again. Because now you both are microing and you need to like actually utilize that shit. So it never fucking ends. And then and we're also just talking about basic units. We're not even talking about advanced units in the game. So there's a lot of shit to go over.
I know. I can't wait to make my first, like, Tempest. Looking forward to that day.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I will tell you right now, our lessons are going to be mostly macro. But if you get to a point where you're like Masters League, we're going to be talking about theory crafting your micro like the entire time. It's going to be all micro once you get to like that range, and it's going to be maybe like the lesson will be like 10% macro, 90% micro, because I might be like, oh, you could probably fix this and that, and then you'll be like, oh, cool, I didn't think about it that way. Like, for instance, something as simple as saying, oh, go robo before gate. Okay, now moving on. Let's talk about your micro for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So, yeah, it'll just get more elaborate as you go, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting watching, like, the higher level games because they only make, like, 2 bases, sometimes 3 bases, and they spend the whole time with their. It's like a very different game. Like here, it's like expand as much as you can, build as big of an army as you can, and send it over. But I feel like on the higher level, right? It's like people make smaller armies and just are engaging in like little fights here and there.
The reason you want to know why that is? The reason why that is because it's really hard to macro against high-level players because high-level players are all about multitasking, which means they're all about trying to fuck your build over the entire time. And the more you expand, the more you expose yourself. Like, imagine you're in a fight with somebody, and your arms are up in your face. Now imagine if you had to take one of your arms and fully extend it to the right. And now you have to take your other arm and fully extend it to the left. And now you have to dodge his punches with just your neck and your head. And if he punches you once in the face, you're going to get knocked out. Like, it's because people need to guard themselves in higher level play because everyone's all about fucking each other over all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
And then players in lower leagues don't know how to capitalize on that because they don't know what to look for and how to punish builds. So they're just like, I don't know. But yeah, that's why that happens like that. But yeah, dude, good luck. Thanks for doing another lesson. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
yeah, of course. Thanks for the time.
I will see you. All right, any final words? Any final questions? I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, no. I think I'm all good.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wrote a couple things down before, but I think we covered everything here.
Nice.
Yeah, all good. So, yeah, thank you again, and take care of yourself. And looking forward to, working on all this stuff, and then coming back a little bit later.
All right, man.
And seeing where we can go from there.
Well, good luck, and go crush some ladder. Go apply all these facts, and take some StarCraft 2 steroids. Essentially, make yourself a stronger player.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you.
All right, man. You too. You too.
Right.
Take care.
See you, man.
Bye.
All right, guys. That has been a coaching lesson with the Hindu. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something from that again. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video, whatever it might be, as always. And, yeah. Good luck in your own games. And take it easy, everybody. See you next time. Peace.